Hockey is back. CHGO Blackhawks is next. Hockey's back, baby. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi. The Hawks opened rookie camp today. I was not there because I had an unbreakable appointment, but Mario was, and he's going to give you all the details, every puck, every post.
Force, the irresistible force versus the unbreakable appointment.
Yes, 100%. Good stuff. Do us a favor. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're listening on the podcast, we love you. We welcome you to the show as always. Make sure you're following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app. And before we begin, we want to remind you it is Big Brothers Big Sisters month of giving here at CHGO and ALLCITY. This week, we're focusing on getting you involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. If you've ever been curious about being a mentor to these wonderful children, go to bbbs.org/get-involved, or just go to bbbs.org and go to the Get Involved tab on top of the screen. We would love to sign up some ALLCITY and CHGO listeners to become mentors to these kids, to become big brothers, to become big sisters. It's a great cause. They've been at it for over 100 years, and with good reason. BBBS is a great organization. We are proud to be affiliated with them, even in the smallest way that we are. Last week, we raised some funds. This week, if you don't have money, maybe you've got time. Give some of your time to these kids. bbbs.org. Click that Get Involved tab for more information on how to become a big, or just donate. It's never too late to donate. They're always taking donations. They're always looking for help. So help out our friends at Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. Okay, here we are. We made it. We have made it through the hellscape of the offseason. Yeah. The only thing that's good about the offseason is that we have summer in Chicago to make it a little more tolerable.
That's true. Yeah.
But as I said yesterday to Greg, I would skip the entire summer. Mm-hmm. Once free agency is done, just start the season as soon as free agency is done.
Just cut out July 15th to September 15th.
Yes.
Just get rid of it.
Completely.
We don't need
I am totally fine with that. I get out of mowing my lawn like 15 times. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, let's do that. Well, here we are, though. It is September 10th. Rookie camp is open. Mario was there. And from what I saw, reading socials, reading what you were posting, watching some videos, very intense practice, very long practice. And the guys that you want to look dominant looked dominant.
Yeah, it's always one of those scenarios where you get excited, hockey's back, we're all very excited, and it's the first practice, and you want to be like, look at that, ooh, look at that, ooh, look at that, yes, you get excited, but it's the first practice for a lot of these guys that has been at this pace for months. So it's like it's the process of getting their legs back into season form. They've gone through summer workouts. They've gone through different programs. Sam Rinzel, for example, is one of those guys that played like in the Beauty League, which, it's glorified rec hockey for professionals, but they, it's to get them to do something. But this was a practice where, and Jared Nightengale, head coach of the Rockford Ice Hawks, he's going to be running things. The Ice Hawks staff is going to be running things this week. He put an emphasis on, like, today was just getting those guys into that mode and, like, preparing them for, like, this is going to be a tough practice. You're going to be tired. This is going to be, a week of just kind of, like, getting yourselves ramped up for the start of the season. And it was a good pace. They started with a keep away game that was, really fast. Some guys were already laying bodies on each other right away. So that's what you want. You want to see that competitiveness start. You want to see that pace start. That's going to be something that not only with this young group that they focus on, that's what they're going to want from the NHL club as well, is competitiveness, pace, and that's how this roster is now starting to kind of shape up as a lot of these younger guys get into the NHL. A lot of them have that attribute of top-notch speed to their game.
You know who else wants that intensity? The players.
Oh, yeah.
I promise you, they are quite ready after a long summer, wherever they were playing, to get in, pull that Hawks jersey over their heads, and start playing some real hockey. And look, like, they know there are a few opportunities on this team. And we're going to hear from Nick Lardis. We're going to hear from Sam Rinzel. We're going to hear from Jared Nightengale. But Lardis sort of said, like, you know, I'm excited to start my pro journey, whether it's here, whether it's in Rockford. Like, these guys, they know there are 1 or 2 spots open for some of them. And I think it's going to be an intense rookie camp. I think it's going to be an intense Curvers. And then training camp starts next week with all hands on deck. I can't wait. And I'm really excited to see, you know, as Jeff Blashill has been preaching since the day he was hired, intensity and hard work. That was our first example of the 2025-26 Blackhawks organization was just that today. So I like that.
Yeah, and that was something that Nightengale said after practice. We got the clip here from basically laying out like what he expects out of the week and how they're kind of setting up this week for these guys as they use this as like a lead up to going into training camp for a lot of them starting next week.
What did you see out there today?
It was a tough practice. I think we talked about it before. Just really want to early on instill some habits that Blashill really values, that I value, the organization. Really basic. It was kind of a blue collar skate. It was hard, challenging. We told the guys before, you're going to be tired. But it was more of a resilient, kind of a gut check type of practice. Yeah, we're realistic that it's a lot of times their first time playing together. It's the first game out of summer. You know, sometimes those games can be a little bit, you know, not as predictable. But like we talked about today, we just want to be a resilient, high competitive team. We're really covering just basic stuff these next 3 days. The guys, we're going to get them scrimmaging tomorrow and the next day a little bit on the second half. But yeah, just I'd say the biggest thing is just, you know, competing hard and trying to build that foundation.
I like that they are hitting the ground running with the messaging of this is what you're going to be asked to do at the NHL level. Like next week when training camp starts, this is what Jeff Blashill is going to be harping you on. So be prepared already. Use this week and this Tom Curvers showcase week to get ready for that. And that's going to be a big message for not only the guys that are going to be in training camp, but also for a lot of these guys that are going to go back to juniors or that are trying to get an opportunity to, you know, maybe stick around. Some of these these guys come in as camp invites. Sometimes they work themselves into an opportunity to play for for an organization like the Hawks. You know, they might play for. They might go to a prospect camp for Washington, and then they go to another prospect camp for the Islanders, and then they go to Curvers with the Blackhawks. Like, and if they show themselves that they can do what they're being asked, and it translates on the ice to a level where they get an opportunity, like that's for them. But some of these guys are like Marek Vanacker and AJ Spellicy. They're going to go back to juniors, but they'll know exactly what it's going to take at the NHL level, what the NHL organization is going to be asking of them. So that once their season is over, if it does line up that they could jump into Rockford or Chicago before the end of the year, it's already like in their brain of like they've already been in the environment where that's being asked. Like what Jeff Blashill is going to be preaching, what the coaching staff is going to be preaching is they've already kind of experienced that through this week. And, you know, and it, double important for guys like Lardis and Moore and Ryan Green and Rinzel and Levshunov, like getting those guys up to speed, because those guys are going to be the ones, once training camp hits, that have a real shot at hitting the NHL ice starting night one.
And you hope that, you know, the fact that this is intense and the fact that it's long and grueling gives them a bit of a, you know, they should be able to hit the ground running when camp starts, where some of the veterans, it'll be their first time in town. pulling the gear on for the first time, putting the skates on for the first time in a while, ramping up. Those guys are going to have a built-in advantage of, I've already been through a rookie tournament, and from what we understand, the next couple days at Fifth Third will be scrimmages, or at least partial scrimmages.
Partially, yeah.
So that'll ramp up the energy for those guys as well, put them in some game situations. So it's just great to have the game back. And one thing I noticed, I mentioned it at the top here, is that it seems like the guys that we wanted to see thriving were thriving.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of an advantage for the CHL players because they've already been in camps with their clubs. So like Jack Pridham, Vanacker, Spelisi, like those guys, Ty Henry, they've already kind of gone through a few weeks of their ramp up to their season. So they were pretty good. They were pretty crisp. But yeah, Levshunov looked really good. Rinzel looked fast. The guys that you want amongst this group to look like the best and look the closest to, like, yeah, they look like they could compete for NHL time. They looked like that. There was, again, it's still a little bit of knocking some rust off a little bit, but
sure.
As far as like the guys that, you're paying attention to, they were the ones that had the right pace. They weren't the ones fumbling the pucks all that much. They're still getting into it, obviously. For a guy like Nick Lardis, like this was his first, real ramp up since May. When Brantford was in the playoffs, and even we'll hear from him a little bit. He talked about coming back from injury, that he was dealing with in the playoffs, and then getting back onto the ice and getting back that pace. That's really what today was about. And as far as the skill levels go, like those guys were leading the way, which is good to see.
We're going to hear from Rinzel and Lardis on the other side of the break zone, but before we do, is there anyone else aside from those guys that maybe caught your eye, maybe unexpectedly, or that stood out one way or the other?
One of the guys that I think, when you talk about like the pecking order of how excited people are for them, I found myself a few times going, oh yeah, Jack Pridham. That's right. Like, we get excited about, Vanacker and Spelisi and as far as the guys that are still in junior, all the guys playing in college. And Pridham is one of those guys that last season, once he got to the OHL with Kitchener, he really got on to a lot of people's radars and was one of the most productive players for them in that 54
program. Points in 48 games.
And he was supposed to go to Boston and then ended up switching in the NCAA, ended up coming back, and he's going to go back to Kitchener. But he's going to be one of those guys that I think is going to maybe fly a little bit under the radar and have a really sneaky good season. Probably going to be one of the leaders with that Kitchener program this year again. And could be one of those guys that, like, in a year from now, we're looking at as just like, oh, here's a surprise of a guy who's, like, ready to hit the ground running. Like, another one of those mid-round picks that kind of like Lardis, like one of those mid-round picks that you're like, ooh, how did he fall that far?
Yeah.
Like, so
what did they see that
I'm
the
excited,
other people didn't?
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Pridham plays this week, and how that, helps him go into his OHL season.
Yeah, 6'2", 184. He was a 92nd overall pick, third round in 2024 for the Hawks. And yeah, it's funny. Like, Lardis is such a great example of when he was drafted. It was kind of like, okay, like an afterthought. Not that it was no one thought it was a bad pick. Just kind of didn't know a ton about him. Wasn't a name we had really talked about in the months leading up to the draft. And then all of a sudden, pops for 71 goals last year. And this might be an unexpected piece. So I don't know, man. It's a great time of year. I'm glad it's back. I can't wait to get to Fifth Third tomorrow. I was kind of pissed all day. Like, man, I really should have canceled this and come to this gate. But it's all right.
We got immovable appointment.
We got plenty ahead. And I got to keep my brain healthy.
Yeah,
if I'm going to get through a hockey season. So can't miss that. But we will be we'll be back at it tomorrow. Friday they practice. They practice Saturday morning, and then they'll leave for St. Louis for the first game of the tournament there. So Minnesota. They're playing St. Louis, going to Minnesota.
Yes.
So lots of hockey ahead, and I believe it's being broadcast.
It is going to be on the Blackhawks team site as well as their app.
There you go.
So if you have access to those, you should be able to have access to all the Tom Curvers action you could ever hope for. And if you're in the Minnesota area, you can go. there's tickets. It's at the Tria Bank, Tria Center, something like that.
Something like that.
TRIA. I don't know if it's a bank or whatever it is.
Sounds like it.
That's what it's called.
Yes.
It is a hockey arena.
Tria Rink.
I don't know what Tria is though.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Go watch hockey there. All right, we're going to hit the break zone for the first time. We come back. Who do we want to hear from first?
Let's hear from the aforementioned Nick Lardis.
All right, let's do it. Talk to you in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. This morning I woke up and I was feeling kind of weak, kind of down in the dumps. It was time for breakfast, and I said, you know what? I need to punch into thirst. So I ripped open my cornflakes, and instead of pouring milk on, RC Cola.
Yeah?
RC Cola. That's what I needed to get me through my day, and right now I feel like I could run through a brick wall. RC Cola's not a soft drink, just damn good cola. In a world of soft drinks, oh, dragon fruit, acai, sparkling cranberry, spritzer. No. RC Cola, it's all you need. It's an OG cola in a world of spineless soft drinks. No trends, no gimmicks, no glow up. They had their glow up in 1905 when they first came out. Guess what? Perfection. One take, cut it, good to go. RC's perfect forever. Get yourself some at your local store. Stock up for all your end-of-summer parties, back-to-school celebrations, or just watching the game. RC is the move for whatever you're doing. RC Cola is not a soft drink, just damn good cola.
Athletes, listen up. Here's a question. Are you serious about leveling up your game? Do you wish to be as good at softball as CHGO is? 3-time
Good
Cup
luck.
League champions in a row?
Three-peat.
Well, if you are and you want to be, the right coach can change everything, and now finding one is easy with Eye on the Ball. Doesn't matter if you're just a kid starting out or competing at the top level, you can sign up totally free for athletes at eyeontheball.net. Create your profile, search through coaches in your sport, and connect directly with the one that's right from you. From soccer to swimming to baseball to basketball to football to hockey and many others, the coaches are out there for you. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach can be one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. Again, that's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach and have them take your game to the next level.
All right, we're back on CHGO Blackhawks. Before we hear from Nick Lardis, want to let everybody know, you may have noticed there's some emblems, some avatars on some of the YouTube users' names. We have YouTube memberships now. So there's 2 monthly levels, the $5 MVP tier and a $15 Hall of Fame tier. The MVP tier gives YouTube members access to emojis, members-only posts, polls, and priority comments. The Hall of Fame tier gives all of those things, plus access to members-only videos and shout-outs. So check it out. If you're on a non-mobile device, like a laptop or a desktop, you'll see the option to join in the chat. That's how you join there. On your mobile apps, it is much easier. So become a member of our YouTube right now, the $5 MVP tier or the $15 Hall of Fame tier. Happy to have you in those roles. Just launched this week.
Sweet.
Our buddy Steven, who
Love it.
abandoned us for the Bears.
Yeah. Big timer.
Yep, he made it happen. That's our guy.
That's cool.
All right, yeah, so jump on that. Also, let's hit the like button here. Hockey's back. We got 60 likes. That's not enough.
Smash it.
We need more than that. So hit that like button for us before we hear from Nick Lardis. Anything we need to know before we speak to the young winger?
This will sound different than Sam Rinzel's audio because the Zamboni was done. But no, it's good to hear from Lardis. A lot of excitement around him. A lot of maybe some high expectations from him. He name drops some guys that he trained with in the summer, which, hey, that's a good thing. You want a guy like that to be around some NHL guys, some high profile NHL guys going into his first professional season. So this is from Nick Lardis from my phone.
How was your summer?
It was good. Yeah, a lot of training and good skates. Gonna be back home for a good couple of months, so yeah, it was good.
You said at development camp that you would resume skating before then. When did you exactly get back on the ice?
I went back just before development camp. Like there was really no rush. I mean, I had like a good 5 months to kind of recover from what happened in the playoffs, and I've been feeling really good. Got a lot stronger and did a lot of good workouts and good skates, good battle drills with a lot of pro guys too. So feeling ready and ready to go for camp there again.
How was everything since development camp?
It's good. Yeah, came here a couple days early. Got to skate with the team and a bunch of other prospects. So it's good to get that feeling back of a 5-on-5 game pace, and yeah.
Is there anything specific you worked on the ice this summer?
Yeah, I think just, keeping in touch with, my shooting and skill work, I guess. And then obviously just did a lot of battle work and stuff with a lot of pro guys. Went down to Muskoka for a bit and trained with some pro guys there, like Tavares and all those guys. So it was good to kind of feel that pace and how it is at the pro level. And yeah, it was good.
Who else was there?
There was a lot of guys. Bouchard, Tavares, Dylan Cousins, there's a bunch of guys. Montour, Scott Lawton, Connor Brown, Kevin Ball, Henry, a bunch of guys. So yeah, it was good.
Were any of them aware of this season that you had in OHL? Did they make any impressive comments to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd score sometimes and they'd be like, "Oh, that's 70 right there," something like that. So it was kind of funny. Yeah.
This is your third prospect camp with the Blackhawks, but how does your mindset change knowing that you're going to stick in the pros this time around?
Yeah, I think it's a little different. I mean, the past couple of years, you kind of get the sense that you're going to go back to junior a little bit, but I think this year for me, it's good opportunity for me to turn pro and kind of stay here, whether that's Rockford or Chicago. So, a little more anticipation with that, getting on the ice, and more motivation with that. So, yeah, excited.
You've talked about trying to do things in junior that you believed would translate against pros. Did you get kind of a sense of that this summer going against those guys, like what works and what doesn't against them?
Yeah, for sure. I think, junior's a different game, I guess, than pro hockey. Obviously, it's a lot stronger. You're going against bigger and tougher guys. So, doing those skates in the summer really learned kind of what it takes, with the battle drills and just the skill that they have. It's, it's pretty cool to see and kind of be there and work with them too. So, yeah, it's good.
Did you build confidence from that? Was your takeaway that, hey, I can keep up with these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those skates are really good for my confidence, just working with those guys. I mean, they've been playing pro in the NHL and have great careers for 10 years or so. So, it's good to skate there and get a lot of confidence and, feel good out there.
What are you looking to accomplish out of the showcase camp here leading into training camp?
Yeah, obviously haven't played a game in like 5 months, so obviously there's going to be a little rust with me and a lot of the guys, I guess. But just looking to, showcase my speed and skill still, and obviously just the strength that I've kind of built over the summer. So yeah.
Is it nice having a couple other Brantford guys here with you?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, got a little train going. Me the first year, Vanny, and then Holmesy too. So it's cool to share that experience with them and kind of work together with them here.
Good development camp. You said you were like 180, 185. Did you end up getting higher than that, or are you about that still?
Yeah, 185 is kind of where I feel like I'm really strong. Still have that speed and battling with those guys. In Muskoka or whether it was in Oakville where I was training, I felt strong there too. So, as the season goes on, I guess the weight will change whether I go up or down. So I'm just sure I'm maintaining it and just keeping my strength. Yeah.
You kept the 6 feet though.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Yeah. We'll see. I haven't measured yet, but I hope I didn't shrink. Yeah. I got a haircut. I didn't want to get too much off the top, so I don't know if that would help out or not, but yeah.
You know what strikes me about these? We noticed this, I think it was maybe 2 years ago with Sam Rinzel and now Nick Lardis, is how much they change in one summer.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah.
And even I saw Greg posted a photo of Levshunov, and he looks like a different. They all look. These are children.
The physical,
aging.
the physical maturity and how it changes from draft night being 18 years old.
Lebowski said I remember when Lardis was drafted, I said there's a child at the table.
Yeah.
I didn't know
well, even looking at pictures of Bedard from draft night, he was still 17.
Yeah,
he didn't turn 18 until the next 3 weeks later or whatever. But looking at Bedard from draft night to even just the start of last season, how much that changed, and that's what comes into play with a lot of these guys is, when they're drafted is not how big they're going to be once they get to the NHL, or their rookie season is not what they're going to be when they're fully in their prime. So when you worry about he's under 6 foot, or he's only 170 pounds or whatever like that, they're going to continue to work out. They're going to continue to get bigger and train and get stronger and faster. So yeah, with Rinzel, it was just here's this really tall, lanky guy, and now he says in when we talked with him today, from the end of the NHL season last year to today, which he said, he went from 180 to 195, 15 pounds of weight, probably mostly muscle because he's in the prime of his life in an NHL training program, since April. So like that is a big change, and that also comes along with like kind of getting used to how your body changes too. Like keeping up speed as you add weight is a challenge. Yeah. As Lardis said, even with Oliver Moore, he's added weight to his frame too. But keeping up with that speed is going to be something that's going to be a challenge. So a lot of these young guys, they go through those changes year over year, and it changes their physical makeup, and it also can change how they play the game, hopefully for the better.
I remember this. I may have told the story on here before, but my cousin Alex played. He was like a special teams wide receiver at Oregon and Washington. He transferred, but he had to put on weight one off season, and he came to visit us. He was from Seattle, and he's like, I got to go to Portillo's again. We're like, it's like your third time today. He's like, I have to have 3 cake shakes a day. I'm trying to add 20 pounds of weight this summer.
That's insane.
Just to be big and strong enough to play in, at the time, the Pac-10. And he's like, it sounds great until you have to have 3 cake shakes a day. Every day. That's
a lot.
It's a ton, and that's what Rinzel said he was doing. We'll hear from him in a minute here. He was drinking the shakes too, and it sounds really good for me. Like, oh wow, 3 milkshakes a day. It sounds fun. No, and at some point you probably want to puke because it's just too much. Mm-hmm. But hey, when you're doing that and you're adding that, the calories, and then you're using it as fuel for a workout, it does work. And like Rinzel, 15 pounds in one summer. So from April, what was the last day of the season? Like April 15th,
basically,
give or
yeah,
take?
like third week of April.
Yeah, to September 10th, he's put on 15 pounds. Presumably 90% of that muscle.
Yeah, presumably the right way.
Yeah, I mean that's
5 pounds a month. Adding that to yourself, like that's crazy. That's a lot.
It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of dedication. And again, while it sounds fun to eat all that ice cream, it probably gets pretty gross after a short while. Yeah. So
speaking as someone who put on 15 pounds in 2 weeks, going to Italy when I was 22,
pure pasta.
It was, well, it's so funny. Everyone's just like, oh my gosh, when I go on my European vacation, I eat all this delicious food, and then I don't add any weight because you're walking all the time, because that's how Europe is set up. You either walk or you take their great public transportation. And their health is better. Weird. But I was on a bus tour. So we saw almost all of Italy in 2 weeks, right? And you'd stop in a place in a city, you'd see the sights, you'd go on a little tour or whatever, then you'd have this really great lunch. Then you'd get on the bus and you just sit, and the bus would take you to the next spot, and then you'd
let all those carbs
and then you'd go, you do your little thing, you have dinner, and then you sleep, and then you wake up and you have a big breakfast, because it was like they catered to like American breakfast, because European breakfast is really light. So they were like, oh, we got to shovel the bacon and eggs into these people.
We deep fried the bacon and eggs for you, so you feel at home.
So then we'd have a big breakfast, and then you'd get on the bus. Then you'd get off, you'd have lunch, and then maybe it was just a lot of like, most meals were followed by a like bus ride.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to work off a lot of it. So I went from brutal. When I was 22. It's a harrowing tale of my trip through Italy, right? Very privileged of me.
That's rough. Poor guy.
Yeah, when I was 22, I literally was 155 pounds. Came home and weighed myself, and I was 170 pounds. I was like, how did that happen?
That's it. So off season for the Blackhawks, Italy. That's it.
Sure, you could do it that way.
Bus tours. I put on weight on vacation because I can't go to the bathroom on vacation.
Yeah, it's
that's a thing.
When you're very comfortable in your home space, it's hard to kind of break that routine.
Yeah, it's not good. I got like a cheese curd baby by the time I get home from Door County.
So, is it like being in like a hotel or just unfamiliar? Like, could you do it at like a restaurant?
I don't, and I have no problem doing it in public normally, and just something
interesting.
Not in public, like out in the street, but
I hope
at a store or whatever. Anyway, no one wants to hear about this. They want to hear from Sam Rinzel, which we're going to do next.
They'll tell you how he added weight.
Yes, exactly. Do us a favor, hit the like button before we hit the break zone. Talk to you in 2 minutes. Last break of the show, we promise. Hit it. CHGO Blackhawks.
Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is slashing prices on new cars and giving you big savings all month long. Come in today to shop the model year-end sales event and drive home with employee pricing on every new Chevrolet model. You can get $3,000 to $11,000 off MSRP, or you can check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you're getting a great deal. And with Ray's Price Promise, that lets you shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. Don't miss out on their year-end sales event going on all month long for employee pricing on every new Chevrolet model. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
And it looks like we're running out of time to visit Soldier Field. So if you'd like...
that will come to an end.
If you'd like an opportunity to go see your Chicago Bears at your Soldier Field in downtown Chicago, there's no better place to get those tickets than Game Time. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Looking ahead to the Bears and Mario's Dallas Cowboys, get in the door for just over $300.
I don't
there you go,
claim them
Mario.
anymore.
I know you have to.
Hell outta
That's what
here.
fandom is. Sorry,
Those
buddy.
guys.
They're yours. And if you're not sure, you've never been to Soldier Field before, you get a panoramic view from your seats in the app before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. All right, we're back on CHGO Blackhawks. Thanks for being here. Do us a favor again. Please hit that like button. We are close to, it's my glasses, 82. That's not enough.
We need to get to 195 likes for the 195 pounds that Sam Rinzel is now.
That's right. And he explains how he got so fat this offseason. Here's Sam Rinzel after practice today.
How's the summer been for it?
It's been good. I was back on campus working out every day and skating, so it's not too far of a drive, so it was easy.
What were the biggest things that you worked on?
Just kind of the usual the last 2 summers. Just getting stronger, bigger. I think this year I wanted to kind of get better with my shot, and then I just think a lot of it was mental. Just kind of being harder to play against the zone.
What things with your shot did you tweak or work on?
I think just being able to change the angle a little more, and then just being able to find little holes at the point. It's a small window, you got to get it through, so being able to find those.
The way you performed in the 9 games last year, how much confidence does that give you in going into this year and knowing that you can hold your own and taking the next step?
Yeah, obviously it's good. It does give you that little confidence, knowing that you kind of have that little bit of experience. Obviously it's not a lot, but I got to earn it just like everyone else, so I'm excited.
You're going to be part of a very young defense group this year, and how much you're looking forward to that. What are the challenges of that? Because I think other than Connor Murphy, everybody's 23 and under in that group back there.
Yeah, it's exciting. Anytime you can build it with kind of younger guys, it's pretty cool. We want to be able to grow up fast, and we want to be able to win games.
There were a number of guys on your team in Minnesota last year that went pro. Have you talked to them and compared notes with guys other than Oliver being here about kind of what their takeaways were from their first round in the NHL?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously guys like Snugs, obviously he got the playoff experience, so just talking about him with that a little bit. Matthew Wood, obviously. Guys talk around and you talk about it, especially when you know each other. So,
Did you gain any weight?
Of course. I gained I want to say I was playing around kind of 180-ish at the end of the year. I'm probably up to about 195-ish in the morning right now. Around there. But
Did you have to eat a lot of burritos or something?
yeah,
or was
a lot of shakes. It's always easier to drink calories. So, a lot of those.
That's good. It's got a nice problem.
It's great. Obviously, in the summer, we're in the same kind of area, so I'm able to see him a little bit. So nothing relative.
And you were working with the forwards today. How was that working with the forwards today?
Yeah, it's good. I like to get in the offense, so whatever it is, being able to pick their brain with other stuff, it's pretty easy to do. Like, I run a hockey player, so.
Looks like you were having a lot of fun in the Beauty League over the summer. What kind of a experience was that for you?
Yeah, it was cool. Just being able to be kind of, with those older pro guys, just learning things from them. It's, how they are off the ice, whatever it is. They're also in the weight room at school, so, getting to know those guys is pretty cool.
Did you know there was an extra L on your nameplate?
I did. Ollie pointed out when I was walking out, and I didn't believe him at first, but I did end up noticing.
To get on somebody about that.
It's whatever.
You ever have a conversation with someone while they were vacuuming?
No, I was going to say it was really nice of them to put you guys on the Zamboni for the interview and just drive around the rink.
Yeah, it was good.
It's really
good to catch up with Sam Rinzel on his front lawn while his neighbor was mowing the lawn.
Put the backdrop about a foot from the boards while the thing's being Zambonied.
Yeah.
Have at it. Have the interview, everyone.
Yeah. For those that didn't see, Sam Rinzel was spelled with 2 L's in Rinzel on his jersey to start camp. So that was off to a good start, but all fun for him.
They got to send him a message like, you're not a shoe-in. We don't even know how to spell your name.
Yeah,
that's a message from Blashill.
They got to keep him humble. Yeah.
That sounds like a Mike Babcock thing if I ever heard of it.
Oh yeah, you know what? Let's start that conspiracy.
Yeah,
it was a.
Did Datsuk show up 1 year with DATSOOK?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Rinzel, just based on the video, looks physically bigger, and put the work in, man. I'm really excited to watch him play this year. I think that the way that a lot of people talk to him, Frank Nazar stands out the most as saying, like, this is a guy who's never going to play a game in the American Hockey League, save for, a rehab stint or whatever it might be.
Hopefully not.
And the way he looked last year and his brief call-up was super encouraging. I think he's a shoe-in for opening night.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised to even see him at camp.
Yeah, when the roster came out, I think we both kind of had the reaction with Rinzel and Levshunov of being like, oh, okay, they're going to have him play in this, in this tournament. But if you think back, Rinzel hasn't been able to play in something like this because he's been a college player.
Yeah.
And same with Levshunov, his draft year, but also last year with Levshunov, he had the foot injury that he basically missed all of training camp, including Curvers. So it's an opportunity for those guys to kind of have that experience, and doing it now, they're like leaders of this group amongst their peers. So it's a good experience for them to kind of be more of the go-to guys in that environment, and maybe give them a little bit of that, weight on their shoulders going into training camp, where, as we've kind of talked about it all off season and looking how, the defensive group is going to shake out, they kind of have to make the team, because if they don't, then you're down to basically 2 right shot defensemen, Connor Murphy and Louis Crevier. And as far as a talent standpoint, like, I think you want Rinzel and Levshunov in there
100%
over, quote unquote, over guys like Del Mastro and Allen, because I think their ceilings and what they can do, what they can bring to the ice, are a little bit more dynamic, and what the Blackhawks need from the defensive group to kind of balance things out. So I think Rinzel and Levshunov, they feel like pencil them in, they're going to be on the NHL team. But I think, and as Jared Nightengale kind of talked about today, with all of these young defensemen, it's going to take some time for them to kind of find their legs. It's taken some time for, Levshunov, even though there have been some really good moments, there's still been some of those learning moments.
Sure. Yep.
That's still going to continue this year. Even as much as we're excited about Sam Rinzel, there are going to be games where it looks like there's going to be a game, I'm sure, this year where Sam Rinzel goes out there and is fumbling pucks, is a -3. Like, there's going to be games that don't look great for him on tape, but that's what comes with being a young defensemen. It goes for the whole group. Like, there are going to be highs and lows with this group, and want to cue it up here, but Jared Nightengale talked about, like, the young defensemen and how they can kind of, like, what they can do this year as they grow and how that can set them up for more of their long-term NHL careers.
Blackhawks defense this year, that's going to be a young group back there. And what are things that young defensemen especially have to remember as they're going in to taking these likely bigger roles on the big stage like that?
Yeah, I think especially D, you can't always tell our D, don't try to look sexy every shift. It's good to not get noticed, make the play that's ahead of you. They're both highly talented defensemen. Trust that when they get put in positions where their talent needs to be shown, it's not something I need to go out and try to prove and show every shift. I think that's usually when D struggle, letting the game come to him. I think of Duncan Keith, as early in his career, he struggled in the minor leagues. And he was a really offensive defenseman in college. Then he bought in and it clicked that he was a defend-first defenseman. And then his ability to take over, and obviously, how special a player he was.
I like that he threw in that example of, like, here's a guy that's going to the Hall of Fame, won 2 Norrises, was instrumental in 3 Stanley Cups, and he took time to figure things out. He did not hit the ice the first time he played in the NHL and was Duncan Keith. It took time.
I looked it up while he was speaking, and Keith played 81 games his rookie year. 13 of those games, he was -2 or worse. He had a -5 versus Detroit. Like, there's going to be nights like that.
And that team was at what, 05-06?
That was the 05-06 season.
That team kind of feels like how this team kind of feels.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, as you look back, hindsight, on what those teams were before the 2010 Cup run, a lot of those teams were kind of like that slow build up to 07, 08, 08, 09, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, Duncan Keith was not immune to having nights like that in a similar scenario where Levshunov and Rinzel and Korchinski and these guys are going to be in that similar boat of young players, gifted players, but still going to kind of have to figure things out and have a lot of teachable moments.
It's funny, you go back and look at that team, and you've got, Arneson, Bell, and Calder, the ABC line, are in their mid-20s. You've got the veterans, Martin Lapointe, Matthew Barnaby, Yaroslav Spacek, all these guys brought in to, like, lead this next generation.
Connor Murphy,
Jim Dow, Jason Cullimore, Todd Simpson. Like, they had all these guys that were not really difference makers, but they were there to sort of set the table for this next generation of Hawks. You had some young prospects. Some panned out, some didn't. Like Anton Babchuk, who I thought was going to be a star, was not.
No.
Dustin Byfuglien played 25 games that year. Like, so you saw, like, that next group was coming. And I think as we look ahead 3-4 years, there's going to be some names that we probably expect to be today part of that won't be, and some that we don't expect that will be. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a pretty good comparison, the 05-06 Blackhawks to the 25-26 Hawks.
Yeah, and it's nice
clean symmetry
20-year,
yeah, right, exactly.
20-year difference. Yeah, I think there's, and it's completely different, though, thinking about how that team was viewed then and this team now. Like, I thinking back, like, when I was 15, 16, was I thinking, oh, the Blackhawks are, like, on the rebuild, and they've got a really good prospect system, and they've drafted, like, these guys that are kind of coming up through the... No. I didn't think of it that way because sports weren't covered that way in that depth to where they are now, and how people pay attention to prospect systems and how guys come up. And, you look at over the last 3 years how much we've talked to, guys like Scott Wheeler and Cam Robinson and Chris Peters and all these guys that, analyze the draft picks and analyze the prospects and how glowing, for the most part, across the board they are about what the Blackhawks are doing. Like, having that to fall back on when you look at the NHL roster and be like, this is going to be a tough season, you at least know, like, well, the future is on its way.
Yep.
In 2005, 2006, you really did not have any inkling of like, oh, the future is on its way with Keith and Seabrook and all, Corey Crawford and Dustin Buffalo. You had no
Rutu was
inclination.
the big name then. That was the one that everybody was paying attention to.
Well, yeah, and it was Rutu, it was Calder, it was those those were the guys that they were like, oh, these are the guys on the NHL team now that's supposed to push it forward, and then it's all still years before Taze and Kane even got here.
Right. Speaking of Scott Wheeler, put out his favorites for his personal favorites for the Calder Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Sam Rinzel 5th.
Yeah.
And Levshunov, I think, was 18th.
Yeah, he did a top 20 list, so Levshunov was down there 18th. But yeah, Sam Rinzel was 5th on his list. I know Stephen Ellis with Daily Faceoff, also a friend of the program. He had Rinzel also on his short list of names to keep an eye on for the Calder this year. And look, like I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that if Sam Rinzel and Artyom Levshunov too, for that matter, if they play all year in the NHL and they're not terrible, they're going to be getting some consideration. There's going to be some chatter around them for their contributions this year because they're going to have a lot of opportunity. I really do think Sam Rinzel is going to be a guy who's probably going to be tasked with playing 20 minutes a night at least.
At least, yeah.
He'll probably get significant power play time. I think Levshunov will get opportunities to play significant power play time. So there will be opportunities for those guys to kind of shine through, and they could be in that same conversation as far as rookie defensemen go with Zeev Buyum and Zane Parekh, and like they could be in that conversation.
Wheeler has Demidov as the favorite to win the Calder, and I think that would be the safe bet to make right now because not only because of the ability and the skill, but plays in Montreal. Montreal is expected to be a pretty good team this year, a lot of spotlight on him. So it feels like kind of like Connor Bedard felt like it was almost his to lose. Maybe this year Sam Rinzel is the Brock Faber to Demidov's Bedard, and that'd be fine.
That'd be nice.
I'd like be a great pro. I'd like to be at the end of the year pissed that Sam Rinzel finished second in the Calder voting. That means things went very well.
Yeah, at least for him. Yeah. I think that I think it's gonna be a stretch. I think for those guys, just looking at how that rookie class is shaping up, especially now. Michael Misa signed his entry level contract today. He'll be in that mix. Matthew Schaefer's in that mix as well. There's some really talented players that are going to play some pretty significant minutes for their clubs, but I think if outside of the Chicago realm is talking about Sam Rinzel or Artyom Levshunov in that conversation, things are going well.
100%. We do have some other news around the league. Yesterday, Pierre LeBrun tweeted out, quote, Connor Bedard meeting assembled print media here at NHL Player Media Tour. Why don't we put that picture up of Bedard while we give this quote, just to add to the mystique. There we go. On contract extension, he says neither side is panicked at all. It hasn't happened yet. Both sides are talking. It'll get done when it gets done. Mutual interest in it eventually getting done. Pretty chilled about it. So
he looks
pretty chilled to me
about his contracts situation in that photo. Yeah,
kind of looks like a young Leonardo DiCaprio.
He does.
I could see that.
He really does.
Yeah.
But I will say it's a good photo. I don't love the black and white. I wish it was in color. I think the black and white
and white is more. It's very moody. It
gives it a very moody feel.
We can make this like an obsession by Calvin Klein.
I was going to say put the Calvin Klein water bug over this.
Just Bedard is not like the most extroverted person. So
you notice that, huh?
I just it's just like funny to me.
Yeah. See that should be the Frank Nazar dream glow up photo. That's the. By the way, did you see what Nazar said about Pat Maroon?
Yes, that he scared the crap out of him.
That he was scared of him. So this was Morning Cuppa, right?
Yeah.
So Nazar was on with Johnny Laz and the people at Morning Cuppa.
Cohen.
And basically told the story of Hawks were having a bad game. Pat Maroon goes off on the Hawks during intermission saying, we got to stop turning the puck over. So Nazar, next period, goes out, turns the puck over, and Maroon literally stands up on the bench and just stares down at Nazar. I would have had in public accident, even if I was on vacation. Had Pat Maroon given me that look. It was a pretty cool story.
Well, I mean, we've seen Pat Maroon raise his voice.
We have seen that.
It can be could be an interesting scenario. But yeah, I think very, very quickly we learned last year that Pat Maroon was a guy that was here for a reason, here for a purpose, for the young players. And I think as we learn more about, the dynamics of last season in the locker room, you know that he was doing exactly that for those young guys and taking a lot of them, under his wing. As much as that can kind of be romanticized a little bit, I think he was a guy that genuinely, like Nick Foligno, like a guy that genuinely is like, this is mostly my role on this team. It's not points, it's not goals. That's nice if they do that, but it is mostly like, get this next group ready and have them understand what it takes to be successful at the NHL level, because those guys have had that experience.
Well, and he embraced it too. He very easily could have said, trade me at the deadline to a contender. Let me be a passenger on some team's journey to the cup. And he's like, no, I like my role here. I want to finish out my career here. So let's do it. But back to the Bedard thing. I don't have too much anxiety about Bedard signing a contract. It's going to happen. There's no way the Hawks are going to lose Connor Bedard. There is a 0.0% chance of that happening.
Yeah, the outside chatter.
It's all wishful thinking
it's
from
all
other fan bases.
I mean, look at the stuff that's happening with Connor McDavid. Like, is there any realistic chance that the 31 other teams in the NHL and their fan bases are all going to be correct that Connor McDavid wants out of Edmonton? I don't think so.
No.
I
do think there's a better chance of him leaving than Bedard leaving.
I agree, but literally every fan base is just like, he's going to be a Canuck, he's going to be a Blackhawk, he's going to be a Hab, he's going to be on the Maple Leafs. Like, no. I think more likely he's going to be with the Oilers, at least on his next contract.
I think so too.
But it's just noise when it comes to any worries of, Bedard getting a deal done or anything like that. There's no reason for him to get a deal done now. You don't have to.
Right. Bet on yourself, man.
Let it play out, much like you guys are kind of talking about with Sean Shapiro of DLLS and Spencer Knight.
Yeah.
With his potential next contract. Play this season. Play this season and let your play speak for itself. If it comes out to a season that is higher than the standard that you were expecting, then you've earned yourself a bigger deal. If it's not, then you have something to work towards. You have something to work forward with to try and improve on, and it ends up maybe it's a little bit more team friendly, which maybe that's not great for those guys and their wallets, but it could eventually down the road be better for the team and their trophy mantles.
Yes, that's what a concept. And just remember, as soon as those Kane and Taves contracts kicked in, that's when the Hawks stopped winning.
All in the Seabrook deal, and
right.
I mean, it's
everyone got everyone got the last penny they were worth, which is their right, but that comes with consequences, and we saw what they were.
Yeah, I think with Bedard, I mean, we've seen so far with Kyle Davidson, with Vlasic re-signing Donato, the Nazar contract. I don't feel like there's anything to worry about as far as not if, when a deal is done between Davidson, the Hawks, and Bedard and his representatives. It's going to work for both sides because we've seen it so far, and I think I'm sure he understands. As much as he's propped up as the guy, he understands the team concept of things too, and I think if anything, he's probably one of the guys leading that like team buy-in of like, we got to do this as a group. And the more of us that are around that are supposed to be this next wave, the better. Because
I hope so.
If we all hit our ceilings, this can be a really special team.
Yes, it could.
So I'm sure he understands that.
Well, one guy
going to the other side of things.
One guy who is not taking less for their team apparently is Kirill Kaprizov, who reportedly turned down an 8-year, $16 million per season contract with the Minnesota Wild. Now that's reported by Russo and others, but he said no. That would make him the highest paid player in hockey.
Highest paid player in NHL history, both in AAV and
Yes.
total dollars.
And he turned it down.
$128 million total value.
Now, the Wild have said no team will outbid us for Kirill Kaprizov.
And Kirill Kaprizov said, bet.
That sounds good. So keep giving me numbers, and I'll keep saying no,
Yeah.
and you'll just keep paying me. At
It's
some point, the Wild, though, if he's going to hold, if he's going to, stay cemented at 16 plus, you kind of have to consider trading him. Like, if you can't.
for what?
I-
Connor McDavid?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's not
I
going
don't
to
know.
be.
I
It's
just-
not going to be 1-for-1. I think it's fascinating because them saying no one's going to outbid us for Kaprizov. Kaprizov has a lot of leverage because he is the best player on that team.
Yep.
And the Wild without him are not even close to being anywhere near as good or would be able to accomplish what they could without him. So he holds a lot of the cards. He's like, all right, if you want me to be here, I'm getting my piece of the pie. And if not, other teams will give me that because going into this offseason, knowing where the salary cap is going up significantly and looking at, the group of top tier players that are potentially going to hit the free agent market, there's a lot of guys that teams are going to say, let's keep an extra couple million banked away in case Jack Eichel hits free agency or in case Kyle Connor is hitting free agency or in case Connor McDavid hits free agency. Let's make sure our books are
make sure you're
capable
ready
of
for it,
making a
just in
run at
case.
that. And Kaprizov is part of that group. So if he knows, hey, I could hit the free market and compete with Connor McDavid to be the highest paid player in the NHL and have a bidding war, I might do that.
Well, the other thing, too, is he might be saying, your offer is fine and good. And thank you for the historic contract offer. But first, I want to see what you're going to do, Bill Guerin, to put me in position to win a Stanley Cup. Right? Like, because maybe what Kaprizov is saying is, I'm not interested in just being the highest paid player here. I want to win a cup. And I want to make sure that if I'm going to commit to you for $8 million for 8 years, I don't care how much the dollar amount is, but if I'm signing in a dotted line to stay in Minnesota for 8 more years, I need to know that during the course of that 8 years, I'm going to have a real chance at winning a Stanley Cup. And throughout their existence, I don't think there's been a single season of Minnesota Wild hockey where I considered them to be true Stanley Cup contenders. A team that I would say, yes, this team has top 3, top 4 odds to take home the cup this year. I don't think that has happened in the history of that team. They tried when they went out and got Parise and Suter. It didn't work out.
They always ran into the Blackhawks.
Yeah, they had to get out from under all that, which they are now, so they've got money to work with. I just, and Kaprizov has said he wants to stay in Minnesota, but that's the other thing to consider is I don't think he's saying, I want 20. That doesn't seem like it. I think a lot of these guys are recognizing, look, I'm making a ton of money. If I make 16 in Edmonton or 18 in Minnesota, ultimately, is it that big of a difference? What matters to me is hoisting that Stanley Cup, is cementing my legacy, is punching my ticket to the Hall of Fame, whatever it might be. Like, we got news today that Anthony Rizzo is retiring and will retire as a Cub. Like, do you think he would sacrifice that World Series title for $5 million? I don't think so.
Right.
Because that's something that can never be taken away from him. And there's value in that as well. And how many players have we seen throughout history? And McDavid is dealing with that now of, hey, you know what? He's great, but he's never won the cup. Dan Marino, hey, great quarterback, never won a Super Bowl. And that is always the asterisk. And these players that are at the top of the game, like Kaprizov is, like McDavid is, that matters to them. So I'm wondering if this is not so much about AAV for Kaprizov as it is a message to the Wild of, you want commitment from me, I want commitment from you. I want to see what you're going to do to make me a Stanley Cup champion, to make us Stanley Cup champions. And if you can show me what I want to see, then I'm going to sign. You got it. I think that's probably more likely than just wanting to cash in as much as possible. We'll see.
Could be.
We're gonna find out.
Could be. I mean, they're set up for the now. They got a deal done with Marco Rossi. He's 23, signed for the next 3 seasons. They've got Matt Boldy, who's 24, locked up till
I like what they're
2029, 2030. They got Brock Faber, who's
Yep.
23, locked up for a long-term deal. But it's like gonna need more than that.
Yeah.
You need more than that to be a top tier contender. They got a really good team. They're going to be a playoff team this year. But yeah, I mean to that point, I mean Kaprizov might need to see, much like McDavid too, like, hey, we're at this point, but we need more.
We need more.
And what are you going to be committed to making that happen? And if so, then yeah, I'll be on board to the tune of being the highest paid player in the NHL.
Right. Until McDavid signs. All right, we'll be back tomorrow at 2. More practice scrimmages tomorrow at Fifth Third. If you're in the area, head out to Fifth Third, 10 o'clock.
It's free
Friday
and open to the
begins.
public.
Yeah. Go sit there. Go say hi.
It's a lot of fun.
We'll be there. All right, we'll talk to you at 2 tomorrow with fresh tape, fresh info from Hawks practice. Hockey season's finally here. We made it. Have a great day. Talk to you at 2 o'clock tomorrow on CHGO Blackhawks.
We all silly like the mayor.